Hi, welcome to this video. This is Samuel from Finlanza. So Finlanza, first of all, let me talk about Finlanza. Finlanza is a Zoho authorized partner. So we partner with Zoho and we do implementation for all the Zoho products to customers and all that. We also build custom applications um, to our clients, and we also build custom applications to for Zoho Marketplace. So today we are going to be talking about a fixed asset register, and a fixed asset register just helps individuals or organizations to keep track and to manage their assets. So in this system, this is a simple web application that will help you to manage your assets. So here we can see that we'll be able to add our users, so users within the organization. We'll be able to add an asset, and that asset we can assign a user to that asset. We'll be able to keep track of our maintenance. So let's say if we are, let's say for a car, we are taking a car for a service, we'll be able to log that in. We can also keep track of our insurances, just to make sure that we don't, we don't have overdue insurances or pending insurances, right? Okay, so the first page you're going to land on is the dashboard right here. So the first thing you're going to see is the total asset value. This is going to be the current asset value, not the purchase cost of that asset, the current asset value. So I don't have any assets in the system, that's why it's $0. Then you're going to see asset by asset statuses. So it's going to show you the status of the asset and how many assets are in that status. So for example, let's say if I have a status called in use, so it's going to show me how many assets are in use right now, right? Okay. Now let's scroll a little bit down, and now here you can see the total assets that you have in the system right here. And then now all those assets, we've also divided them into buildings. So these total assets is going to take you to the report for total assets. And then we have buildings. So if we have, let's say if we had one here, so buildings, if we had one under buildings, if you had clicked on that, it will take you to the buildings report. So let me just try to click on that. Yeah, it's, you can see here report buildings up here, and then it's telling, see, you can see buildings, and then it's telling me to add record because we don't have a record in that. Okay, so you get the idea of how that works. So we have equipments, we have furniture and fixtures, infrastructures, intangible assets, lands, machines, vehicles. So these actually are the asset categories that we have in this system. And let me just talk a little bit about intangible assets. So intangible assets are things like software. So if your company develops softwares and sells, so software is your asset, right? If you have things like crypto, so let's say you have Bitcoin is currently rocking. So let me just say Bitcoin, and just because I'm also a fan of it. So if your company or you own some Bitcoin, that's your intangible assets. You can come and put the current value there, so you can keep track of your assets. Okay, so we see that we can also keep track of our asset locations. So we'll have locations. So let's say if one asset is in Long Island, the other one is Baton Rouge, the other one is let's say California. We are going to see the location and then the number of assets in that location. We're also going to see the assets by user. So the users we have, and then we are going to see how many assets are assigned to that user, right? Okay, then finally down here we have we can keep track of the assets that are due for service this month. So remember I said on this application you can manage your maintenances, right? So you're going to see here how many assets that are due for service this month, and you can also see the assets insured this month. So if you insure an asset in this month, they are going to appear here. So you can also keep track of that right in your dashboard without going anywhere. Okay, so let's talk about the first thing you're going to do when you land on this application. First thing you're going to do is go to help. So the video you're currently watching will be here. This walkthrough video. So this video is going to help you set up this fixed asset register, and also to understand how to get the most or the best out of this application. And we also have our email here. You can reach out to us in case of in case of any if you run into any issue while installing the application, which is going to be close to non-existent. If you watch this video, you won't have any issue installing the application. But we also do, we've tested this application with Zoho Books and other accounting softwares. So if you need to keep track of your monthly depreciation expenses in Zoho Books uh, or any other accounting software, you can reach out to us via that email provided there, and we are going to integrate this application to be posting the monthly depreciation expenses to your accounts. Okay, so the after help, so we'll add a new user. So let's say add user. So here you can add a user in your organization. So let's say my name is Samuel, and then yeah, my email pops up there. So Samuel at Finlanza. So phone number is not required, but you can put it for bookkeeping purposes and things like that, or keeping or record purposes. So right now my location is Kenya, so you can change your location here, your country here. So let's say, for example, I mean, so let's Guatemala, right? And then I put my number there, and then I put my um, department right there, so technology, and then I click on add, right? Okay, so when I add a new user, I'm going to see them on all users report. We have an all users report here, so I didn't add the user. That's why it's telling me to add record. If I add users, they will appear there. Now, let's go to the main purpose of this application, which is keeping track of our assets. So let's talk about sorry, let's talk about how to add an asset. So we go to assets and then we click add asset. So here we have divided this into two sections. We have asset details and then we have depreciation details. Okay, now let's take an example. Let's say, for example, I love cars, right? I love BMW. I'm a big fan of BMW. So let's say I'm buying a car today, BMW M5 CS sedan. Yeah. So BMW M5 CS sedan. So that's the car I'm buying today. And then let me just put some serial number. So serial number here is just the unique identifier of the asset. So whichever asset it is, if it's a computer, it will have a serial number, or it will have just some unique code for that identifies that asset, right? So that's what you'll put in the under the serial number. Then the asset type, I'm buying it new. So let me click on new, and then the status, I just bought this, so the status is going to be idle. Category, this is a vehicle. So okay, just a moment there. So before I select category, I want us to take note of these fields right here. So we have warranty, and then we have asset image below it. So when I select a vehicle, we are going to see a new field between warranty and asset image called logbook that will now request me to upload the logbook for this vehicle. You see that pops right there. So that works fine. Acquisition date, I just bought it today, so March 11, 2024. Purchase cost, let's say I bought it at 110,000 US dollars. So the current value, if I just bought it today, the current value will still be the same as the purchase cost, right? So the current value is also going to be 110,000. Now, remember I said we can assign users to assets, right? Or assets to users, whichever works. So here under responsible user, you can come, and if you click on that, you will see a list of users that are in your system. So mine says no matches found because I haven't added a user. If I wanted to add a user right from here without going to the users section there, I can just click on add new, and it's going to pop up that form for me to add user. Yeah, this right here. My internet took its sweet time there. So you can fill the name there, email, phone number, and all that, and then add. And then you are going to be to assign that user to this asset. Well, we can also see the location. So this is where the asset is located within the company. So for example, let's say Long Island, right? So Long Island is in New York. So that's the location of our asset. Then let's say warranty. Let's say this car comes the 2-year warranty, so 2 years. Supply of this car, let's say I bought this car, I shipped it right from the manufacturer, so let's say BMW Germany, right? Okay. Then I can upload a logbook for it. I can upload the receipt that I was given when I bought the car, right? Then I can take a picture of this car and upload under asset image. So for now, we are done with the asset details. For now, we'll come back to it. So let's just see what happens now in the depreciation details. So most of the time, the way we depreciate vehicles are we use a method called reducing balance depreciation, or otherwise called declining balance depreciation. So I'm not an accountant, but I understand a little bit of how this thing works. So under depreciation method, let's say we select declining balance depreciation, and remember again, it's declining balance depreciation, or otherwise called reducing balance depreciation. It's just the same thing. So if I select declining balance depreciation, you see we have a new field pop up here called depreciation rate. So the first thing I'll need to do is put the depreciation end date, and if you hover over it, you'll see this is the end of depreciation expense calculation date. So this is the date that I want to stop depreciating this asset. So let's say if I select it and I say I want to stop depreciating this asset in so let's say 2026, okay, 2027 January 19th, right? That is when I want to stop depreciating this asset. Then I'll put the depreciation rate. So this is depreciation rate per year. So let's say this asset will be depreciating 20% per year. Okay, then I'll add this asset right into the system. Now let me talk about another depreciation method. So this depreciation method I want to talk about is let's say straight line depreciation. This is one of the most common depreciation methods. So when I click on straight line depreciation, you see there automatically I am required to put depreciation end date, and then I have a new fields here pop up for residual value and then the useful life. Now, residual value is just the estimated salvage value of the asset. So let's say if I plan to sell this asset in 5 years, right? So that's the useful life. So useful life, let me first get rid of this date here. Let me clear the date. And my acquisition date is March 11 here. I want us to notice what is going to happen with the depreciation end date. So let's say I put my useful life here to be 5 years. I want to be using this car for 5 years, right? When I click away, you see the depreciation end date updates automatically. So it took 5 years and it added 5 years to the acquisition date, and it gives me the depreciation end date. So that is kind of cool. Now let's say within those, after those 5 years, when I would want to dispose this asset or to sell it, the value will now be, I put it at 110,000, the value will now be 50,000, right? So that is the residual value, the estimated value at the time that we are going to be disposing this asset, or we are going to be selling this asset. Okay, now we've seen depreciation, we've seen the declining balance depreciation, or otherwise known as reducing balance depreciation method. We've also seen the straight line depreciation method. Now we are going to see units of production depreciation method. And for units of production, the way this system is set up, most of the time units of production are calculated for assets that are machines. So for machines, so the first thing you have to do if you want to select depreciation units of production as your depreciation method is you come to category and make sure your category is machine, right? So my category is machine right there, and then now I can come to depreciation method and click on units of production. Now, once I click on units of production, you're going to see the first thing that happens is this is locked, right? I can't edit this anymore. The depreciation end date, I can't edit that. I can't also edit useful life. We are going to see how we are going to be editing that. How we are going to be how that is going to be loaded automatically, right? We are going to be calculating that automatically. So let's say I have a machine. Let's say I have a 3D printer. And I expect this 3D printer, I'll just keep the price here as 110,000 and also keep this residual value here as 50,000. Now, within the, I have a 3D printer and I expect this 3D printer to print 100,000. I expect it to produce to print 100,000 models before I dispose of it or before it becomes useless to before this asset becomes useless to my company, right? So 100,000. So the first thing you notice, if you notice the system, we had 5 year, now it has updated to 0, and we had 2029 year, it has updated to 2024 because the way we are calculating this useful life is we are taking the total units of production divided by the yearly units of production, which gives us the useful life. And then we are taking the useful life in years and then we are adding it to the acquisition date to give us the depreciation end date. So 100,000 divided by 0, because it's assuming this is 0 since it's null, right? There's nothing in the field, so it's 0. So 100,000 divided by 0 is 0. So 0 plus the today's date, today's year is 2024 plus 0 is 2024, right? So it gives us day's date. Okay, now let's add the yearly units of production to see how that changes. So let's say total units of production we put 100,000. So let's say yearly I expect this to produce 10,000 units. Now you see useful life changes to 10. And then the depreciation end date, now we have 2034 instead of 2024. Okay, so that's cool. We've seen, once again, we've seen declining balance depreciation, and we've seen straight line depreciation, and we've also seen yearly units of depreciation. So those are the depreciation methods we have right now in the system, and we also have this for no depreciation. So no depreciation mostly is associated with an existing asset. So let's come back to the asset. On the asset type, let's say this is an existing asset. So let me just X that out first. I explain what an existing asset is. So let's say you install this application today, but you had the asset you want to add here, you bought it, let's say last year, a year from 2 years from today, or 5 years from today, but you still want to add the asset in the system. So you'll come and select this is an existing asset. And I want us to keep track of these fields here. So we have purchase cost, then responsible person. Now, when I click on when I change it from new to existing, we are going to see a new field pop up. So let's see existing. Yep, yeah, you see there's this depreciation to date. So this is the amount that has depreciated to the day you are adding this asset to the asset to this register. So let's say you bought it at 110,000. Another thing we should I should quickly point out is when we change this to, you see right now current value is editable, so I can clear the 110,000, right? But when I change it to existing, we are going to lock that field that user can't edit. So you can't edit it when I. So the field is locked. You see, if I click on it, nothing happens. You can see my mouse is on the current value. So the way we do that is we now take the purchase cost and we subtract depreciation to date, which will give us the current value. So let's say I bought it 2 years ago and it has depreciated by 30,000 so far, right? So when I put that and then the balance updates here, the current value now updates to 80,000. So that is existing for existing asset. So if it's an existing asset, we can say that we don't want to depreciate this asset, right? So depreciation method, we say no depreciation. We do not want to depreciate this asset. Then we add. So that is all about the adding the asset. And then if you have assets, you can view all your assets in the all assets report right here. So it's asking me to add a record because I don't have an asset yet. I didn't add the asset. Then we've divided those reports into categories. So we have buildings, equipments, furniture, fixtures, infrastructures, intangible assets, lands, machines, vehicles. So let's see the maintenance section. So I come to maintenance and say add maintenance. Now here when I come here, I'll select an asset. So no match is found because I don't have an asset. So if I added an asset, I'll come here and select asset, and then I'll select which asset. So let's say I'll select the BMW, and then I'll say the last service date was let's say November 8th. Last service note is let me just put service. Don't want to write a lot of things. Then if the service costed any money, then you can come and say, let's say that one costed me $50. Then you can come and put your next service date and say 28th, right? So remember in the dashboard, we had that section there where we were keeping track of how many assets that are due for service this month. So this is what we are using to display that in the dashboard. So then again, you can come and see all your maintenances report to see which assets are under maintenance. Okay, so you can also keep track of the insurance of your assets. So you can come to add insurance, and you can come and select your asset here, put the insurance number, and then you put your insurer. So let's say your insurer is PM, then last insurance date. So if the last date I insured this was let's say second, right? 2nd of March. Then I add that, and then on the dashboard, remember we had um, we had this section here where we were keeping track of the assets insured this month. So then it's going to appear here. So that's the fixed asset register. Once again, thank you for watching this video. So after watching this video, if you still want to implement or to integrate your accounting software, so for example Zoho Books, QuickBooks, or whatever, with this system, so that you can keep track of the monthly depreciation expenses right in your accounting software, you can reach out to us via the email provided on the help section. I'm just going to say it again. So the email is samuel@finlanza.com. You can reach out to us via that, so that we can set you up at at no extra expense. We won't charge you an extra amount to integrate this system with the Zoho Books, right, or your other accounting systems. So once again, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy using this application. Just before I go, this web application can be accessed right from the desktop, laptop, mobile device, and at your request, we can also customize it to be a mobile application for you. So that one will come at an extra cost, obviously. So thank you again for watching. Yeah, I hope you enjoy.